I see some green, left-hand side of the screen, but not much. Keith Fitz joins us just about as the market is about to open. All right, do you have any doubts, Keith, that we are in a bear market?
Zero doubt in my mind, Stuart, but you know what? That does not mean there's nothing to do. In fact, there's plenty to do. This is the time when legends are going to get made and the next generation of millionaires is going to be created.
Well, have we hit bottom yet?
That's too tough to call because that's all about psychology and the Fed's newly found hawkishness, which of course we knew was long overdue and they've been out to lunch for a long time. So I don't think the bottom's in yet, but the fact that we didn't collapse over the weekend, the fact that we've got a little bit of green on the screen now is a reminder that the markets are actually working normally. There has to be buying and selling. The fact that there is tells me that traders want to get on the gas. They're just looking for some flight clearance.
Okay. If you want to walk into this market, invest in it right now, and end up making a lot of money just down the road, what are you buying? You've got to be specific here. What are you buying today?
After we get off the air, my plans, and this was before we came on the air, my plans were to go after NVIDIA, Microsoft, and Apple, because these are stocks that a couple years from now, when you're all standing at the barbecue and somebody says, hey, did you buy NVIDIA when it lost 30%? I'm going to be the one guy who goes, yeah. And everybody else goes, That's what I'm going after, Stuart.
Okay, NVIDIA, Microsoft, what was the other one? One more?
Apple.
Apple? Okay.
Apple.
Anything else?
You know, Palantir is, of course, my favorite. It's a tough stock to own. It's been beaten to smithereens. But Ford is also interesting, too. You know, these companies are going to change the world. The fact that they are on sale right now is really tempting. And I got to admit, I feel like a Viking at an all-you-can-eat buffet right now.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
Well, okay. Well, Apple and Microsoft, they're the ultimate big tech stocks. They don't normally do well when interest rates rise, and interest rates are rising sharply.
Yes, but they've already had most of the juice bled out of this system. There is nothing fundamentally wrong with either of those companies. They're firing on all cylinders. Every business unit they've got is growing at double digits. This myth about supply chain problems and those kinds of things, Tim Cook and the CEO of Microsoft have got that stuff figured out. So I'm willing to endure a little short-term pain if I've got a 3, 5, even a 10-year horizon.
Okay, outside of those stocks that you've mentioned, outside of the stock market, is there anything you've put money into, any other investment vehicle?
I got to tell you right now, I'm getting very interested in fine wine. And that sounds unusual. Of course, I got my motorcycles and cars, but fine wine in particular, I'm talking 1% of the $400 billion wine market. That's something I'm exploring right now because it's done very, very well over 5, 10, 20-year periods, particularly when inflation is there. And the added benefit is every time somebody drinks a bottle, there's less of it, so the price goes up.
I'll introduce you to Varney Wines, headquartered in Adelaide, Australia, run by my son.
I'd love to learn more.
Yeah, okay. Varney Wines, look it up. Keith, you're all right. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, sir.
See you again soon. The opening bell, as you can hear, is a-ringing. And now it's stopped ringing, and it is 9:30. It's a Monday morning. It's May the 2nd. Welcome to the brand new month. The last one was really awful. Well, we're off and running, and we're up 70 points for the Dow Industrials. That is about 1/4%. A lot of green, left-hand side of the screen, okay. Modest bounce. The S&P 500 on the upside, only just 0.12%. The Nasdaq Composite, dead flat, actually, up 0.08%. How about big tech? All over the place. The only winner is Microsoft and Meta Platforms. The rest are on the downside. I've got to take a look at Amazon in particular. There you have it on the screen, down 33 bucks, 1.6% again. They had a terrible April. Yeah. They dropped 24% just last month alone. And there's more bad news today, right?
The valuation gods, if you will, are coming for Amazon. And the news today is that Wedbush took them off their best ideas list because last week they reported their first quarterly loss in 7 years. So the question now that investors are facing is the sell-off that we've seen of this magnitude, is that rational? If you look at the average price target on Amazon, which is $24.52 now, the average is $35.81. So no one's really throwing in the towel just yet, but they are acknowledging, and I'm going to quote RBC here, that these headwinds are creating a perfect storm and may take longer to solve.
Down all that lot in April and down again this morning, another 1.4%.
Well, Morgan Stanley's out with a note. And they see the S&P going as low as 3,460. So that would be a sharp deceleration from where we are now. Yeah. And they say we could be entering a bear market phase where virtually nothing would work even investing in defensives.
Okay, isn't that great
Pretty
to hear
brutal.
on a Monday morning? It is
Moving
indeed. Move on to Tesla, please. Now,
Yeah.
they had a terrible April, down 20%, I think it was, and they're down again this morning.
Well, look, April was their worst month since March of 2020, since lockdown. But they're tied up in two storms. You have Elon Musk, their CEO, trying to buy Twitter using his Tesla stake in part, and then you have the slowing Chinese market because of COVID. China is a quarter of Tesla's revenue, and auto sales in total in China fell almost 12% in March. Wait till we get the April numbers. That is impacting, look at this, all of the EV makers there. NIO, they're down, not even 1% today, but they delivered half the number of vehicles in April as they did in March. 10,000 in March, cut that to 5,000 in April, and the similar story, in fact, it was worse for Li Auto.
Well, that tells the story of the China slowdown.
Yeah.
Zero COVID equals slowdown for China.
The factories are slowing, and the customers, the residents are stuck in their homes. At least they are in Shanghai.
I want to see Microsoft and Activision Blizzard, por favor. Warren Buffett revealed that he's got a big stake in Activision. How big a stake?
$5.6 billion. So here's the deal. He had less than 2% of the video game maker. He's now boosted that to 9.5%. He is betting on the closure of that $69 billion deal with Microsoft. He also went on a buying spree. He didn't buy anything for the longest time. And then he spent about $40 billion in cash in the first quarter.
Okay.
So he now has about $106 billion in cash from $144 billion, if you want the exact numbers.
But look at Activision at $77 a share. Microsoft is bidding $93.
Yeah.
So what's the difference?
I cannot explain that to you.
I understand it. Okay. All right, move
Part
on
of the
to
larger
Netflix.
sell-off, maybe.
I'm interested in this story. Netflix, they're cutting a lot of content because the subscriber numbers are down.
Yep.
Are they cutting Meghan Markle stuff?
Archwell Productions, it's part of her, it produces her animated
out?
series. Yes, the Pearl series is. They lost subscribers, so they need to cut costs. They've canceled a whole bunch of series. Unfortunately, it's Meghan Markle's here. We were talking about Amazon in April and Tesla in April. Netflix is down 49% in April.
Huge.
So no one's really saying it's a buy at this level, though. I mean, you would think after a 49% one-month drop that the stock would be up more than 76 cents.
Yeah, 40% down in 1 month, Netflix.
I still watch Netflix every day.
Okay.
Right? I mean, think about it. The valuation gods have come for the FANG names, and Netflix is one of those names.
Yeah, I feel it, believe me. I really do. What else we got? We've got Spirit Airlines rejecting the offer from JetBlue.
Oh, yeah.
So what?
Well,
I guess
Spirit's down 8% right now.
consolidation's not going to happen, maybe?
Well, the board of Spirit unanimously supported the merger with Frontier over JetBlue.
Right. Yep.
JetBlue's $33 offer was higher. JetBlue increased it also, not the price tag, but the terms of the offer, because Spirit said, look, we don't think this deal is going to pass regulatory muster. We don't care what the price tag is in that sense. So they said no to JetBlue, and JetBlue's only down a nickel.
I'd like to see some consolidation amongst the airlines.
Why?
A bit more consolidation. Well,
Then price would go up, no?
But everything is hogged by the top five companies.
Top four.
I need some more competition to get involved.
Well, so the top four have 80% of the passenger traffic. They control the market for price. So when you have a merger with JetBlue, who I don't know if you'd really call them a low-cost carrier, I think the thinking is JetBlue comes in, and then you don't really have as many low-cost participants in that case.
I see that point. Okay. I'm not sure I like it, but...
I think that's what the Justice Department's going to think.
Pfizer, $47 a share. Have they got a problem with the COVID pill?
Yeah, its effectiveness. So Wells Fargo looked at a trial, and they looked at Paxlovid and how it did preventing infection in people living with someone who has COVID. And they didn't like what they saw. So we could be living together. You have COVID. I pop Paxlovid for 5 days, and I still get COVID.
Oh, dear.
It's not a very good,
not good
preventative rate. And we'll find out more tomorrow because Pfizer reports tomorrow, and they are expecting to say that Paxlovid would bring in $22 billion in sales for them as a household treatment, if you will. You have it in your medicine cabinet. Is that going to be the case when you look at this trial and you don't like the results that you see?
Yeah, will it be in your medical cabinet? Yeah. Okay, got it. Dow winners headed by... Remember Friday feedback? Somebody was saying, get the screen closer to you so you don't have to squint.
But we're ready.
I can read it. Cisco Systems at the top, followed by Dow Inc., Chevron, IBM, and Home Depot. How's that?
Buffett boosted his stake in Chevron. So there you go.
Okay.
It's number 2
Oil
now
company.
on the Dow.
Got it. S&P 500 winners. I can read the Norwegian Cruise Lines are back. Royal Caribbean's back. McCormick, the Spice people.
Well,
I don't see big Activision Blizzard is down there because Buffett's got a big stake
the world
in
is
that.
opening back up. That could be why
That is
cruise
true.
lines are higher.
Activision Blizzard tops the NASDAQ winners list. Vertex, Broadcom, American Electric Power, and I can't read it.
Regeneron.
Thank you very much indeed.